So if you know me, you've heard me call him the Titans' greatest running back, maybe even the greatest Titan ever. I may have said it, and I know there's Eddie George, there's Earl Campbell, there's Steve McNair, Warren Moon, Derrick Henry, but strictly in the terms of what a running back has done, absolutely nobody has done what CJ2K has done. I wasn't around for the Oilers, but I was around during the early start of the Titans when Eddie George and Ray Lewis took it overly serious. It was an unstoppable force meeting a movable object every time, and it was entertaining to watch. I was there for that. I mean, hell, Steve McNair made me want to become a quarterback. At that time, especially, there weren't really many black quarterbacks worth mentioning outside of Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick. I was for sure there when Derrick Henry was carrying us through playoff games and 2 more regular seasons after that. But in all honesty, when we traded A.J. Brown, I felt like we should have traded Derrick Henry and re-signed A.J. Brown. And I believe that still shows to this day. We still feel the ramifications of keeping Derrick Henry and trading A.J. Brown. I never felt like that with CJ. I always felt as if he needed a team around him that was similar to his rookie season. I never even understood why his only good year with the Titans was his rookie season. But I'll get into that a little bit later. For Chris's current battle with ALS that he publicly stated 2 weeks ago as of today, it hurts me. But I feel it's only right to do this for my favorite player growing up. They always post that 3-minute highlight reel of Chris Johnson on X every year around this time, right before either college or football ramp up. But I don't need to look at it because I remember watching every game, especially from that record-breaking season that he had 2009. I remember every moment because Chris Johnson was the only source of entertainment for the Tennessee Titans. This is the truth about Chris Johnson. You are now entering the high-speed zone. Proceed with caution. Welcome to Chatville. Born and raised in Orlando, Florida, CJ played ball and ran track at Olympia High School. His junior and senior years, he competed at the Florida 4A State Championships. As a junior, he placed 4th in the 100 meter with a 10.66. While his senior season, he placed 2nd in the 100 meter with a 10.38. In football, he was only seen as a 2-star recruit by rivals. His junior season, he rushed for over 1,000 yards. But his senior year, CJ had a leg injury in the 4th game of the season. And at the time before his leg injury, he had over 800 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. But that didn't help his case with recruiting and his rivals' ranking. He received offers from ECU, Eastern Kentucky, University of South Florida, and UConn, accepting the offer to ECU. Person may question, why didn't he just pick track over football since he has seen success from that? But in reality, people tend to love football more than track and will do anything and everything they can to play football versus running track. He even states on the Rich Eisen show that he knows he could have been an Olympic sprinter, which may beg the question a little more, why not pick track? But you got the glory of playing for 60 minutes versus doing an 11-second event. CJ instantly made an impact at East Carolina in special teams as a return specialist. There's a common theme in the 3 videos I've made to this point. If you're a young football player, please take note of that. Special teams is important, especially if you want to see success on the next level. Racking up 765 yards on kickoff return while also rushing for 561 yards and totaling 1,562 all-purpose yards as a freshman. This performance earned him All-Conference USA freshman honors. As a sophomore, he became the starting running back, totaling 684 rushing yards, 356 receiving yards, and 8 total touchdowns as a running back, while still being seen as a return specialist. CJ's junior year was a down season after having neck surgery in the spring of that year. While he still played, he didn't start at running back, but he still returned kicks, which he then earned All-Conference USA first team as a return specialist. His senior year, he blew. CJ rushed for a career-high 1,423 yards with 17 total touchdowns. He showed his versatility with a career-high 136 receiving yards on 5 catches against UNC, and against Memphis, he showed his every down back capabilities with a career-high 301 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. He ended his collegiate career against Boise State in Hawaii Bowl, where he rushed for 223 yards, 32 receiving yards, and 153 return yards, breaking an NCAA FBS record of 408 all-purpose yards, along with having 2 touchdowns. He went out with a real boom. After a stellar senior season, CJ was invited to the NFL Combine, an experience that he called mentally and physically draining due to the multiple medical tests, team meetings, and other things that he just called foolishness. He says that by the time you get to the on-the-field workouts, you're just drained. This track's based on things that happened before, like with Lamar Jackson being asked if he would switch to wide receiver, or Dez Bryant being asked if his mom was I don't know how else to say this, and I really don't want to say it like this, but if his mom was a 304. Sorry. So I can understand that a person may want to wait until their pro day to showcase their abilities, especially if they're already projected to be a top 30 pick. But for somebody like Chris Johnson, who played in a small school, this was needed. And man, did he show up. Got 3 numbers for you. 4, 2, 4. As of today in 2026, that 4-2-4 record has been broken by John Ross, which was a little more controversial, and Xavier Worthy, that being extremely less controversial. After running a 4-2-4, CJ was the talk of the combine, but he still wasn't viewed as an every down back, except by one team. With the 24th pick in that draft, the Tennessee Titans picked Chris Johnson, as he was the 5th running back taken off the board. Again, teams view CJ as a third down back, but not Titans OC Mike Heimerdinger, RIP. He genuinely stated that Chris Johnson was a difference maker, along with being the every down back. While his rookie season, he did share the backfield with Lindell White, and they ended up naming themselves Smash and Dash, but CJ still showed his capability, finishing the season with 1,228 rushing yards, 260 receiving yards, 10 total touchdowns. He also finished second in the AP Rookie of the Year vote. This was CJ's best season as a Titan when it comes to the win-loss. To start the season, Vince Young was the quarterback, but in a weird twist of fate, he threw a pick, was booed by the fans, and then later in that same game, he was spraining his MCL. So naturally, Kerry Collins came in and replaced him. They were playing really well. He was then named starter for the rest of the season when Vince Young was healthy to come back. Again, the Titans were winning, so it didn't make sense to switch back, but in reality, it didn't matter because Lindell White, Chris Johnson, they were carrying this offense. So it didn't really matter who was at quarterback. Get the ball to the running back, and that's very much Jeff Fisher's offense to a T, but I'm not going to go into that. Titans went 13-3 this season, locking up the 1 seed, and ended up playing Baltimore in the divisional round. If you are a fan of either team, you know that playing the other team at home is not good for your team. If you don't know what I mean, think Lamar Jackson 2019 MVP season and what ended up happening. Halfway through the first quarter, Chris Johnson ends up getting a touchdown. Titans take a 7-0 lead. Somewhere in the second quarter, he exited the game with an ankle injury, and this completely derailed the Titans offense. At this point in the game, he had 11 carries for 72 yards, and people, including CJ, just knew they were primed to have a great game. We're gonna roll over this opponent, go on to the next round. Let's get to us a Super Bowl. But that's not how it happened. And it's heavy speculation throughout the Titans fan base that the Ravens were purposely trying to injure Chris Johnson. However, Chris Johnson stated himself that yes, they were trying to rough him up, they were trying to hurt him, but the play that he was injured on was a completely fair play. And since Chris Johnson said that, I'm not going to enter the speculation of him potentially being injured on purpose. I don't even think his injury is the reason that we lost that game to begin with. Did his injury hurt our team performance? Absolutely. Did the turnovers help? No, they hurt us. But when you miss simple calls like this can cause you to lose a game. When you miss simple penalties like this can cause you to lose a game. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna get worked up. This game does trigger me. It hurts. It hurts bad. It triggers me a lot. This outcome is worse than the Titans-Bengals outcome from 2022. Yeah, that's how I feel about this game. But I'm not going to get worked up. In a nutshell, those missed calls are the reason that the Titans lost this game, in my opinion. They completely held us. I can't even believe that I went and watched these highlights, bro. Like, bless. Anyway, back to Chris Johnson. Entering that 2009 season, his mindset changed. He wanted to change how people viewed running back and also prove that he's not a one-hit wonder. While he accepted the nickname Smash and Dash, he kind of went into his own lane and described himself as every coach's dream. He vocalized in training camp his goal was 2,000 yards rushing this season. He also wanted to prove to the media that there wouldn't be a sophomore slump. In the season opener though, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had a quiet 57 rushing yards, which didn't help his case of what he was talking about. But the next week against the Texans, he went nuclear, totaling 197 rushing yards, 87 receiving yards with 3 touchdowns. But this year for the Titans started terribly. They ended up starting 0-6. Season was looking bleak, and they're going to a week 7 bye after an embarrassing loss to the Patriots, 59-0. But the Titans ended up making a quarterback switch, going back to Vince Young. Ended that season 8-8, and not surprising because Jeff Fisher. But the performances that Chris Johnson was putting on tape after that bye week were absolutely astonishing. I'm talking only rushing yards: 228, 135, 132, 151, 154. I mean, he was having his way with these defenses. This led him to having a final stat line of 2,006 yards rushing. But when you add the receiving yards, his total yards from scrimmage are 2,509 yards, breaking Marshall Faulk's record of 24-29. This won Chris Johnson the NFL Offensive Player of the the Year award, along with him being an All-Pro and now being deemed the famous CJ2K. There are pros and cons to having a season like this as a second-year player. Pro, if you looked at it, one of the best players in the league. You're probably bound for a great payday, and we'll get to that later, but it comes with expectations. The Titans were not good enough for CJ to maintain these expectations year after year, but that following season, he finished with 1,364 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. By every metric, this is a good season, maybe even a great season, especially for a team that finished 6-10. But in the eyes of some, this was a down year. Going into the next season, CJ held out hoping to get a new contract done with the Titans. This was also the year of the NFL lockout, so there weren't OTAs or minicamp, but he did not participate in any training camp. They ended up reaching an agreement of September 1st of 2011 for a 4-year, $53.5 million contract with $30 million guaranteed. This was met with a split reaction. On one side, fans believe he earned that payday as he was heavily looked at as one of the Titans' reasons for success. Fans believe that the Titans played this PR game with Chris Johnson that was unnecessary. They were trying to make him look bad, which yes, they were, and they should have just paid him. On the other side, some fans called him greedy. And again, the Titans played this PR game with him trying to make him look bad, so yes, some fans sided with the organization. It didn't help that this was the worst year for him statistically as a Titan, where he totaled 1,047 rushing yards on 4 yards a carry, along with 418 receiving yards, but he only had 4 touchdowns total. Since he missed all the camp, he naturally started the season slow, as he didn't look conditioned to play football, and also he had to adjust to a new head coach and a new set of quarterbacks with Kerry Collins and Vince Young gone. He didn't break 100 rushing yards until week 4 versus the Browns, reaching 101 yards, only reaching that mark 3 more times in that season. It just was a bad year for Chris Johnson, but for the team, they seem to be moving in a different direction as they finished this season 9-7, barely missing the playoffs. There was hope that if the Titans can build off rookie Jake Locker, CJ can find a stride again, they could possibly take control of the AFC South, but in Titans fashion, they got worse. It's pretty easy to stop a team when it's ran by dysfunction. I'd be their best player and make sure he doesn't beat us. With a washed up Matt Hasselbeck and the injury prone Jake Locker, Titans had no hope, but CJ shows spurts that he's still capable of being a lead back. It's a shame how the Titans rose and fell so rapidly in this time frame, and with the fans, they blame Chris Johnson, and I don't believe that's fair. Chris Johnson's not a quarterback, so blaming a running back is kind of asinine. But in the games after Chris Johnson signed that contract, there were games where he exploded and they won. There were games where he exploded and they lost. That happened a lot more than you would think. There were games where he didn't do much of anything and they won. But in 2012, Chris Johnson ended the season with 1,243 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, still showing that he had some football left in him. 2013, I would say the season was a little more consistent, but the numbers don't show it as that because he finished with 1,077 rushing yards. Again, this wasn't a good football team, but after Jake Locker got injured, the bottom just kind of fell out. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he had spurts of being good, but he didn't have enough consistency to sustain wins as they finished this season 7-9. And this will be Chris Johnson's final season with the Titans as they cut him in the offseason due to salary constraints and a decline in production, which again, this team wasn't good. Of course he's gonna decline in whatever. I don't think the Titans ever build around him successfully. The Jake Locker thing was a miss, but he ended up signing a contract with the Jets and had an extremely forgettable season in 2014, totaling 663 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. After this season, Chris Johnson experienced some off the field turmoil. He's been pretty good in this area. This is one of the only things that occurred for him off the field. But while Chris Johnson was in Orlando with some of his childhood best friends, they were at a stoplight. A car pulled up and fired at Chris Johnson and his friends. Allegedly, they were trying to unalive Chris Johnson, but they ended up hitting the driver, either Drekius Johnson or Drakius Johnson. I apologize about that. I'm not 100% sure. And he unfortunately did not make it. CJ was fired in the shoulder. While healing from his wounds, CJ did not cooperate with the police in any manner. And depending on how you look at the situation, this could be the right thing to do. Talking about a black man that was raised in the South and believing that the police are not going to do anything to handle a situation. Political, not getting into it, but that's just the belief. On the other hand, this is Chris Johnson. Like, his career is literally on the line. So the thoughts kind of spread on what he should have done. In 2020, CJ was accused for M for hire regarding this incident. It is alleged that he paid somebody to handle the people that tried to handle him. However, these are just allegations and nothing has came from them, and he continues to strongly deny these allegations. And since nothing has came from those allegations, I won't go deeper into it. I just wanted it to be said within the story that this did happen. But in August of 2015, after his shoulder healed, Chris Johnson signed with the Cardinals and had a resurgent season. But unfortunately, Chris Johnson ended up fracturing his tibia in week 12 of that year. He finished the season with 814 rushing yards in 11 games. He was on pace for that 1,000-yard mark that he wanted so bad every year. But this will be Chris Johnson's last year as CJ2K, the game changer, as his services were less needed with the emergence of David Johnson. He signed off and on contracts with the Cardinals to start the 2016 and 2017 2017 seasons, but only appeared in 4 games in both seasons, only getting 25 and 45 carries respectively. He officially retired in November 2018, but in April of 2019, he signed a 1-day contract to retire as a Tennessee Titan. After retiring, CJ went back to ECU to graduate, also has been inducted to their Sports Hall of Fame. He also learned about real estate, owns a coffee shop. His biggest retirement venture is being a father to his sons, the twin Juices. Very active parent, love what he does for his children. I see on social media, he's very supportive. He's there for their football games, for their track events. It's great to see that they have such a loving dad on their side. They have loving parents, but in the perspective of CJ, yeah, he attended the Senior Bowl in 2024 in an attempt to build a career in player evaluation. In 2025, tragic news struck that he was diagnosed with ALS. He didn't say exactly when he was diagnosed with it, but it progressed rapidly. By the time it was announced at late June 2026 on Good Morning America, he was using an eye-controlled speech-generating device in order to speak. It has his voice, but it still hurts to see somebody that many looked up to and adored as a fan of football for battling such a terrible disease at such a young age. This is a post-edit of the outro, and I didn't realize that I didn't include this, but Chris Johnson, he did an interview on I Am Athlete at the time where that was popular, and he was talking his shit on there, but after having this historic combine, he said that a Cincinnati scout came up to him like, yeah, you talented, man, but you're not gonna get far in the league with how you present yourself. You got long locks, and at the time he was rocking golds. If you don't know anything about Florida, having locks or wigs is pretty prevalent, and it's more trendy now. Having a diamond grill is a thing, you just being flashy, but people from Florida get gold. He's saying you got gold in your mouth, you got long hair, yeah, you're not gonna last long. He said, no, I'm gonna do it my way. He proceeded to do it his way. He had a historic combine, a historic season 2 seasons later. He's not a criminal. He wasn't somebody that, caused trouble like a T.O., where T.O. didn't do anything illegal. Chad Johnson, to a point, didn't do anything illegal until the end of his career. Randy Moss didn't do anything illegal, but those are all wide receivers. The diva receiver thing was definitely a stigma to him, but he wasn't a diva. He was on a losing team, and he didn't make a noise until it's time for him to get a contract, and people are talking bad about him because he wants to maximize his earnings. There should be nothing wrong with that. I believe the organization did him wrong by not signing him quicker. Why would you even, the NFL lockout, but not counting that, why would you hold off on this for as long as possible? This is the best player in your franchise for a long time. You had plenty of first round picks that you didn't re-sign, and Chris Johnson was the notable one. You had Vince Young, you had, I think Kenny Britt was a first round pick, you had Jake Locker. You had plenty of folks that you didn't re-sign, and the best player in your organization, you're just kind of procrastinating. I thought that was messed up, but again, it sucks to see that he has to deal with ALS. He said that the doctor said he needs to get his affairs in order, and that's just hard to hear as a fan. I don't know Chris Johnson, but as much as I watch him, it feels like I do. When Instagram first started, and I was, motivated to play football, my bio read God 100 Family, and I got that from Chris Johnson. And I felt as if, putting God first and doing what I can for my family, I can accomplish anything I want to through God. And I don't want to be overly religious. That sounds bad. I don't, though, because I'm trying to stay impartial, but if no one will listen, God will listen. I will say that. But yeah, man, I ain't gonna overextend this outro. Depending on where you're watching, please like, comment, either follow or subscribe. Be prepared for more content, man. We're getting closer to the season. If you like these, I changed the name from Presenting to The Truth About. So if you are interested in more Truth About videos, stay tuned. I also might have something else in the pot. That grease popping, give it a second, man. Gotta cool down a little bit before I get to cooking. Nonetheless, man, appreciate you for stopping by. Thank you for visiting Chatville. Please exit safely. Have a blessed day.